am going to do a little post about supports and services that are available to people that you may not know about, and especially when you're paying for medical bills, and with the condition like endometriosis, it's difficult at times to work full-time. So back in 2004 and 2005, when I was diagnosed with both celiac disease and then stage 4 endometriosis, the supports available to me were non-existent, and I struggled to be able to save after my wages. I was the main income provider into the house, and I had a mortgage to pay and one child, so it was a real struggle to save at the end of every month between medical bills, pharmaceutical, medication, the mortgage, your car insurance, and everything that comes along with it. It was also incredibly difficult to be able to take time off work when I had very little information about endometriosis at the time. The definition of the disease was outdated and there wasn't a lot of research. Even though I had a stage 4 diagnosis, the treatments I was put on, there was very little information about the side effects, and it was a really, really tough time, and I did all of that before I was even 30. So I remember in 2011, when I had no choice but to give up my career, going down to the social welfare office and asking what supports were available, and being told there was only job seekers allowance. But everything, as we know, is means tested, and because I was a property owner paying a mortgage, I wasn't entitled to very much, and I couldn't qualify for any illness benefits or any disability benefits because endometriosis wasn't recognised as a condition. So what I did qualify for was a start your own business allowance, which gave me the time to be able to take a step back from working full-time, focusing on the business idea that I wanted to create, and it gave me a little bit of a crutch at the time to be able to pay the mortgage and feed ourselves. But I still didn't have any supports in relation to medical side of things. I was a public patient, and eventually I qualified for the medical card. As we know, everything is means tested, so I was very grateful to have that. So in 2019, the Irish legislation act changed for self-employed people, that we were able to apply for state benefits, supports, and have it means tested. So because I was so unwell in 2018, I did apply, and I appealed it a few times, and I got assistance from my solicitor to be able to qualify within months of the bill changing. So that allowed me to get the housing assistance payment, and I was able to get a disability allowance, and the disability allowance is means tested against my annual turnover. So once I have my annual turnover and income done at the end of every year, it calculates for me on the revenue how much I owe the state if I go over the threshold, which is a fantastic aid, and I'm very grateful for it. But there is a lot of misinformation out there about what we qualify for, and it really is worth going down to your local social welfare office and having a discussion with the representatives down there and discussing your case. If you do feel that you are unable to work full-time, or you don't have a full-time income coming into your house, or you're struggling with medical bills, there's lots of things available, from your GP card to your medical card. And I'm very grateful that because my condition has become so severe, that I've qualified for the medical card. I get the travel pass, but that's just for me. I don't get to bring anybody on it. That is because most of my appointments are outside of Kerry, and a lot of my appointments are in Dublin, so I can travel from Kerry to Dublin on that. Then I qualified last year for the long-term illness card that pays for a lot of my medication, and I also have the HAP, but because I'm staying with family at the moment, I don't get a payment into the house when you're staying with family. Now the HAP is very tricky, the housing assistance payment. For a single person, which I am now because my son is over the age of 18, I qualify in Kerry for €380 a month towards my rent, and that €380, you then have to pay the difference of the rent to the landlord, and every week then you pay a payment to the council. So it's all means tested, and it does help, and it is available for people that qualify, and it is so worth going talking to your housing department inside your local county council to discuss that. And one thing that I campaign, and I speak publicly about this all the time, is there is absolutely no shame in needing assistance. We have state services there, that's what taxes are paid for. I worked since I was very young. I worked for a long time, paid my taxes. I run a business, so I pay my taxes on my business every year, and because the turnover would be lower, because I can't do what I used to be able to do, I qualify for supports, which is great. And then if I wasn't staying with family, I would also qualify for living allowance if I was living on my own. I did qualify for social housing 6 years ago, and I'm still on the waiting list. So the waiting list in Kerry at the moment is up to 15 years, and I had my own mortgage from the age of 22 until the age of 36. And when I sold my house, it was because I was actually given the all clear. And once I discovered that I had been misdiagnosed, it was too late to pull out of the contracts for the sale of the house. So I had to go ahead with it. And then when everything went up in the air for me, my house that I had lived in for 13 years and paid a mortgage in for 13 years came back on the market in 2018, and I looked at repurchasing it, and because I had been ill and I had a gap in my income and I was independent, no second income coming in, I couldn't qualify for a mortgage. So life gives you lemons, and all you can do is make lemonade out of it, because they have been the most traumatic hurdles I've had to overcome in the last 9 years, from discovering that I couldn't pull out of the sale of my house. I miss my house. I dream about it. I have nightmares about it, and my mortgage would be paid off in the next year or two if I had been able to pull out of the sale. If I had been given the correct information, but I wasn't. So just so that you know, there are plenty of supports out there, and you are more than deserving to go and inquire to see do you qualify. So I hope that helps.